Creative Magic Club. What's up? This is Sarah Mack and welcome to Creative Magic Club. Together, we'll discover inspirational stories of creative entrepreneurs living out their dreams, doing the work they are most passionate about, and building wealth in magical and fun ways. While building a six-figure income as a writer and coach, helping other women to launch their dream businesses, I've connected with so many incredible people and seen it proven again and again that you can thrive financially doing whatever it is you are passionate about. I'm here to share life-changing strategies for mindset, making money, and reaching more people with your work in a business and life filled with creativity, freedom, and fun. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited to introduce my guest today. We have with us Victoria Albina, and she is a master certified somatic life coach, a UCSF trained family nurse practitioner and breathwork meditation guide with a passion for helping humans socialized as women reconnect with their bodies and minds so they can break free from codependency, perfectionism, and people pleasing and reclaim their joy. Hi, Victoria. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
So excited to dive into these topics. That's something I am talking about all the time in my life.
Very important.
And how to stop doing it with the codependency, the perfectionism, and the people pleasing. So really excited to hear your wisdom around that. But before we dive in, how did you come about doing this work in the first place?
Yeah, so I come from medicine, as you shared, and my brain, for so many beautiful reasons, really sees patterns. Okay, I'll brag. I have ADHD. I didn't want to brag like right out the gate, but why not? And so I really see patterns. And I was working at a gastroenterology functional medicine clinic in New York City. And I just kept seeing this same pattern over and over, right? Where my patients would physiologically get better, like we'd kill the parasite or rebalance the bacteria, like things would get better on paper, and then they'd go visit their family of origin. All of a sudden they had 2 weeks of problem poops or like wicked bloating or bellyache, like something would go really awry thanks to interpersonal interactions, right?
That's so interesting.
And it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now, having spent so much time studying the nervous system, somatic experiencing, before it was cool, by the way, it's my cred.
Such a trendsetter.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it just makes so much science now because the autonomic nervous system, the vagus nerve, it all manages our digestion and our sense of self and our sense of safety and our sense of belonging. Like, it all overlaps. And so what I was seeing clinically just makes sense in terms of people's real lives.
Yeah.
And I liked all the clinical stuff and the labs and the medications, blah, blah, blah. But at a certain point, I just could tell that my gifts were to be here for the talking part and the somatic experiencing part. And so I shut down my clinic and fully shifted my practice. And I haven't looked back. It's been amazing.
That's so cool that you mentioned that. Because I went through 5 years of chronic fatigue, depression, like it was complex PTSD. I didn't realize that at the time.
Yeah.
And I eventually surfaced memories of childhood sexual trauma.
Yeah.
But when I had a lot of gut stuff, that was, that was like the first thing that kind of came to my attention, that I started learning about and learn about the whole concept of autoimmune.
Yep.
And then when I discovered mindset work, that like obviously doing all of the lifestyle changes and like, I went to see a nutritionist and got all the supplements and like healed my gut from the inside. But the mindset stuff made such a huge impact on my energy and my health. And I got so much better really, really quickly that I made that connection. And I was like, oh, an autoimmune disorder is like the body self-rejecting, right? And I was like, and that's what we're doing. That like the culture rejects us, right? And then we internalize those narratives, and then we are self-rejecting. And I was like, oh, that's why.
Once you see the parallel, it's you can't, it's a bell that can't be unrung, you know what I mean? And so in functional medicine we talk so much about root cause medicine, and yet this massive root cause of the information superhighway within our bodies is so often ignored in lieu of like green pharmacology and just more supplements, more supplements, more
Right.
supplements. And I think we need in the holistic medicine world to slow our roll on the unregulated
Right.
supplements that we're just throwing at people in lieu of a drug,
Mm-hmm.
and like really talk about what's really going on in the autonomic nervous system, in the limbic system. We need to talk about social determinants of health, which you alluded to, which like we could do a whole other show on that, but
Mm-hmm.
really getting back to basics and really simplifying it in a lot of ways, right?
Right. Yeah, because that's one thing I discovered too in looking for answers for myself is it always came back to the same things, which was just
Yeah.
like, just take care of yourself, like sleep and drink water
Yeah.
and eat healthy
Right.
food and like
Right.
relax,
Yeah.
do things that you love and be with people
Right.
that you love. It's like the simple
Yeah.
foundations of life that,
Right.
it's like when we give ourselves and our bodies and our minds and our souls what it is that they need on a daily basis, like they'll figure it out, like they'll course correct. But yeah, obviously it's easier said than done in the world that we live in.
Right.
And I think a lot of the time, yeah, we're very conditioned to just go for the quick fix and like look
Right.
for the pill and put the power outside of us and be like, hello, specialist, you tell me what I need to do, instead of looking inside and listening and doing the deep work that takes longer and is harder. But I think it's harder because it's not as talked about as much, and you kind of have to dig a little bit more, and there's more resistance. And I mean, obviously, thank goodness all of those things are changing because of amazing people like you. So tell us, like, okay, let's talk about codependency.
Let's. It's my favorite topic ever.
Yeah. No, I've been studying it for years, and it's
Mm.
still it's so complex. I feel like it's difficult to define.
Oh,
And like,
may
what's
I
your
define it for you?
yeah, can you define it? And can
With
you
great
also
joy.
talk about like what, because we are interdependent, right? Like we can't just live as like a one person and alone in a forest with no other humans. So like, how do you define healthy and unhealthy levels of like codependence and interdependence?
I love that. I can feel my brain buzzing right now, and it makes me so happy. This is like my favorite nervous system state, is like this is like talking to someone whose
Talking about
energy I
codependency.
love about something super nerdy that I know is going to help people live better. Like it's my nervous
Same.
system's so happy right now. It's so great, right?
Yeah, it's the
Yay.
best.
Yay. So, I don't like the term codependency. I really, really, really don't like the disease model. So
Mm.
codependency as a concept came out of the war on drugs, came out of the 1970s and 80s. It has really been posited as this disease, right? Like the countervalent disease state to alcoholism.
Oh,
We can
interesting.
problematize the term alcoholism later, right? Folks
Hmm.
who use alcohol, really people last language there. And so
Hmm.
like, I am a codependent, I think is one of the worst things we can say, because we're just setting ourselves up to have that. First of all, agree that it's a disease, that
Hmm.
it's, a way we're suffering, a sickness, that we're defective because we live this way, and that it's a label, it's who we are. And I'm buying 0.0% of that. Instead, I see our codependent habits as a set of absolutely brilliant survival skills from both childhood, moving through whatever came for us in our family blueprint, white settler colonialism, late stage capitalism, and the patriarchy. All of these systems, like you so perfectly said, that push us to not be ourselves, right? To show up and sort of
Hmm.
scramble through it, right? And so I don't like the term codependency, and I don't really love perfectionism, and I definitely don't like people pleasing, because I was doing all of them and identifying with none of them. So I wasn't a perfectionist. I messed everything up. Like I
Hmm.
got a 99 on a test once. Evidence that I was not a perfectionist. Come on, Sarah Mac. People pleasing, people were always displeased with me.
Mm.
Actually, Sarah, are you mad at me right now? Are you mad at me? Is it okay? Are you mad at me? Did I mess up? Right?
Yeah.
Not a people pleaser. And so too
Right.
with codependency. I wasn't fitting the cliche stereotypical norm of the woman married to the alcoholic man, like whatever the narrative you've heard is. And so
Mm.
I realized I was living these three ways and I needed a new term to reach a new audience, like people who, our age and younger, who needed a new way to think about it. So I came up with emotional outsourcing. And I define emotional outsourcing as chronically and habitually sourcing our sense of the three most essential human needs: safety, belonging, and worth from everyone and everything outside of ourselves instead of from within, to our own detriment.
So good. I love it.
Yeah,
Tell us more.
thank you. Yeah. And so it's really about saying, I don't believe, like at this very core part of me, that I'm okay, that it's okay for me to take up space. I believe that I'm in charge of everyone's emotions, because if you're upset with me, that's really dangerous for me, because my locus of safety is not internal, right? It's external. It's outsourced. It's everyone else is in charge of whether I feel safe in my body, safe in the room, safe emotionally. And it's in many ways an emotionally stunted place to be, right? It's emotionally immature place to be, usually because we were raised by emotionally immature adults.
Mm-hmm.
And so we never had proper modeling, right? We didn't know what being emotionally present, having facility to have really hard conversations or really simple conversations. We didn't know what emotional management looks like. No one showed us. And so there's nothing wrong with us. We developed the absolutely most perfect responses to growing up in effed up situations. And here's the important caveat. If you're sitting here listening, you're like, yeah, but my parents did their absolute best. I hear you. And your parents didn't have to be jerks or mean or actually abusive to have shown you how to live codependently, right? Your parents could have like taken you to karate and ballet, and there was always food on the table and nobody ever hit me. But did anybody listen to you?
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody care about your feelings? Did anybody actually attune to you as an animal? Not just, here's my daughter, but her interests are, and I really care. Her feelings are, right? The lack of attunement is enough for our nervous systems to say, oh gosh, maybe I don't matter here. Maybe you know what I should do is I should do the things that make my parents happy, because they've been fighting a lot, and I want them to be, because if they're okay, then I'll be okay, because I'm small and I don't know how else to live, right? So when we can pull back and really contextualize these habits, we can see that they were absolutely brilliant. We can come into a place of compassion, empathy, love, and care for our younger selves. And then our nervous system will go with us as we work to make change, as opposed to fighting us, which is what mine did when I was like, I guess I'm just a codependent person. My nervous system gave me the two-handed New York City salute and was like, forget about you. No way. Absolutely not. Right? So this is a gentler, kinder, softer way that, in my experience, really, really works.
So clearly articulated. You're good at this.
Well, I thank you. Thank you. It may or may not be my entire job. So
Oh, that's so powerful. Okay. So I want to know, what are like the biggest needle movers for anyone listening who's like, I want to get better at sourcing safety,
yeah,
belonging, and worth from within myself?
presence. We
Mm-hmm.
got to start with presence. And presence is, of all possible things I could have said, it is in the top 10 most annoying things to say, because it means
Yeah.
slowing down, right? It's like so annoying that she
You
said
mean I have to put my
presence.
phone down?
Yeah. Yeah. You might, for like 10 seconds at a time. You can go back to doom scrolling. Give me 10 seconds. Yeah. You have to put your phone down, turn the TV off, and put the wine down for like 2 minutes and just come into awareness. So when we are emotional outsourcing, we are not living in intentionality, right? We're not really present in our lives because we're living by what we believe somebody else wants for us. It is, like you alluded to it being really complicated. It's very simple, but the way we enact it's so complicated. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Like, I think that you want me to think that, right? And so I'm going to live this way and be this person. Oof, how exhausting. And so one of the most important remedies is to come back into intentionality, right? To leave habit aside and change our default. Yeah. And so luckily neuroplasticity is all about this, right? So I'm sure I know you talk to your people about neuroplasticity, the fact that our brains and our neural pathways in our mind are literally actually changeable at any age, which like, that's amazing.
Thank goodness.
Thank friggin' goodness, right? We'd be really stuck. So the more we can step into presence, the more we can find a pause. And every millisecond of pause is additive and helps us to start asking questions like, do I actually want to say yes? Do I actually want to take on being room mom this year? Do I actually want to say yes to dinner with my in-laws on a Friday night? Do I actually want to eat that thing that gives me a tummy ache, but my dad's insisting I eat it? I saw that one in clinic so much. People like with that 27 months pregnant gluten belly. And they're like, yeah, my mother-in-law insisted I ate whatever, her brownies. And here I am. And I'm like, oh, baby. So
it's real. It's real. The
it's so
social food
real.
pressure is such a cultural.
The drink food pressure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, especially like New York and LA. Like, oh, we're going out for drinks. Oh my God, you're not drinking? Have a drink, have a drink, have a drink, have a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like the pressure to say yes to things we don't want to say yes to not have boundaries, to not have limits. The antidote is really in cultivating quiet moment where you can actually begin to hear yourself again.
Do you wish you knew exactly how to write a sales post to attract soulmate clients using the most powerful gifts from your astrology chart? Well, guess what? Now you can learn how for free. I'm going to share my cosmic copywriting secrets that have helped people to instantly turn strangers on the internet into buyers for their high-ticket offers. In my 5-part training series, Cosmic Attraction Copywriting, you'll learn the mindset switch that takes my clients from feeling confused about their content or not feeling fully safe to share their story online to making sales more easily and naturally than ever before, with the astrological placement that unlocks a new level of depth in your storytelling that builds trust 10 times faster with the clients who are genuinely a very aligned fit to work with you. Plus, the messaging tweaks that take my clients from attracting people who can't afford it to easy sales into 5-figure offers with no sales calls. And you'll get clarity on the 3 things your soulmate clients need to hear from you consistently in your message to feel confident and excited to buy your offer. You'll also get my writing process prompts to share your story in a powerful way that stands out to the right people and leads to ready to buy clients popping up into your DMs asking to work with you. Click the link in the description for instant access to Cosmic Attraction Copywriting. And what are your words of wisdom for people who are starting to like step into this more and more, and what they're encountering is like high levels of emotional discomfort and like those, those emotional patterns raising and being very loud and very uncomfortable, tips to get through that and like hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel where it's not always going to feel so like arousing to go against your conditioned responses.
So that discomfort is on a biochemical level. That's how you know it's working. Right? So discomfort, when you look at like open a neuroscience textbook, that discomfort is the proof that you need that you're on the right track. So again, top 10 most annoying things anyone on this side of the microphone could say is that one, but really take heart that it means you're doing right by yourself. And I guess the light at the end of the tunnel is part of why I talk so much about my own experience. Right? Like I'm sitting here in a wildly interdependent marriage, having left an abusive one some years ago, really feeling grounded, safe, present, belonging. 10, 15 years ago, I would have believed you that this was possible. So look for the role models, right? It's like Mr. Rogers told us to look for the helpers, look for the role models of people who are showing you in their own lived experience that another way is possible, because it really is. And take heart with the tiny moments of presence that, yes, there's that discomfort, but when you stay with it and breathe through it and you're with it instead of pushing it away or doing like a hashtag somatic practice to calm your nervous system to like make it go away. But when you stay with it, it eventually melts. It eventually disapparates. And if you can really be present in your body, that moment's pretty delicious. Like that moment's like actually quite lovely to be in, when your body's like, oh, hey, I'm not angry anymore. And I wanted to do murders. About 12 minutes ago, I was contemplative of all the ways to do this particular murder. And now it's just, it doesn't have a grip on me anymore. And I think maybe that's the thing to look towards. Like, how friggin' beautiful to live a life where your emotions don't like take you by the hair and tell you how to be, where your emotions can just, Pema Chodron, the Buddhist nun, invites us to see our minds like clouds, like a bright blue sky, and our emotions like clouds just moving across.
Right.
How incredible, right?
And then you start to make that association of like discomfort is the gateway to like really
Yes.
good things
Such
that
good
feel really,
things.
really good.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, what you're kind of describing also in that moment of being present and just
Yeah.
purely experiencing sensation. I learned this from the very small amount of somatic experiencing
Yeah. Yeah.
therapy that I did, where I learned just with sitting with sensations in the body that anytime there's like an uncomfortable or like unpleasant experience sensation, you can also equally find a pleasant one. And that was
Yes.
the first time that I actually, I was like sitting with whatever anger or sadness, intensity that was like coming up in my body. And then really being with it, I got to a place where I was like, oh, like this
Yeah.
actually feels good just
Right.
being with it when it's not
Being with
attached
it.
to a story. You're not
Right.
like putting meaning on it.
Yep.
So, can you just kind of talk about somatic experiencing therapy?
Yeah.
Like, what is it, and why is it so valuable to learn as a skill? Because this is a skill that we're talking about, really.
Oh yeah. 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 So it's the work of Dr. Peter Levine. He's a PhD psychologist, super interesting weirdo guy. And it pretty much is the practice of, yeah, just like you were explaining, recognizing that any trauma that happened in the body leaves its mark, and we can find the nervous system response that is of an equal but opposite intensity. So for an 8 out of 8 terrible, we can find an 8 out of 10 terrible, we can find an 8 out of 10 ease or nourishing or soft, right? And that we can use these countervailing forces to help the nervous system to repattern the emotions related to a traumatic moment. Did that make
Oh,
English?
yeah, I didn't actually
Okay.
know that. That's really cool.
Yeah. So let's say, so what the brain does is our brain is just running on a bunch of heuristics, on a bunch of shortcuts, which makes sense. If you had to think about like, how do I drive every time you need groceries, particularly in LA, you'd be effed. Like it's impossible, right? Like not going to happen. So the brain just has this procedural memory, these shortcuts. And so the brain can miscouple experiences in our minds and bodies. So let's say you are 10 and you get in the car with your parents and you're driving to the supermarket and it's raining outside and you get in a car accident and it's really scary and you don't get the kind of trauma informed care you need right afterwards to ground your nervous system. Your nervous system might correlate rain and scary.
Mm,
And then 30, 40 years later, I don't know. It's like raining out. And I just get kind of anxious when it's raining out. I don't know, whatever. It's weird. I'm just weird. I don't know. But your body is like, listen, kiddo, rain is that time we almost died.
wow.
Rain is the first time you saw your dad cry. The rain, you know what I mean? Like it starts
Hmm.
telling these stories, and this emotional charge gets attached to something that needn't have that emotional charge. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so through the somatic experiencing process, that pendulation you were talking about, where we go from what was really stressful into a very pleasant place and back and forth. And it's less about pleasant, actually, I'll retract that and say a very resourcing, grounding place for the nervous system. We start to show the nervous system that you can think about that car accident, and we can't erase the memory. Frankly, I wouldn't want to, right? But we can change the emotional charge and the nervous system charge that's correlated with it, right? And so we can, instead of feeling like that 10-year-old that like your parents were dealing with the car or whatever, and you weren't getting care, you can actually attune to that part of you that didn't get care in that moment. And you can regulate your nervous system as a way to decouple, in this example, rain and almost dying. Yeah.
So good. Thank you
Somatic
for explaining
experiences.
that.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm super nerdy for it because it's just such cool science. And I
And
love
yeah,
this.
and I feel like, like I recommend all of the therapies that have helped me, but
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, so obviously sometimes you don't need to understand how or
Oh,
why it works, but
yeah.
it's really helpful.
Yeah. It's really
Um,
helpful. I
because then
love SC.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you can know like what to pick and choose, you know,
Yeah.
from what
Yeah.
support you need in
SC
what
is a
moment.
really good one if you don't know why. So if you're like, yeah, I don't know, I like love dogs, but if one's barking, I like
Mm,
lose it. Or here's one. For a while, I would like, if I was in a room of like women of a certain age being way too exuberantly joyful, I would like freak out. And so I took that to SC and figured it out pretty easily and quickly. And it was absolutely the right modality. If you know what happened, EMDR can kind of, eye movement
mhm,
desensitization and reprogramming is an incredible modality. But yeah, and SC is also really great for the somatic stuff. So, like the chronic IBS, the Hashimoto's thyroiditis, as an adjuvant, obviously, adjuvant care
mhm.
to actual licensed clinical medical care. Um, it's a beautiful way to get to the what's under the what is under the what and reprogram our automatic trauma responses. So they're not so right? Just knee jerk. And instead, we've got a moment to breathe.
Yeah. And, for everyone listening, like I always recommend anyone doing money work is engaged in some type of
Oh, yeah.
somatic support because it's another, it's a relationship in our life
Oh,
that is just
yeah.
so it's complex in all of the traumatic associations that we've developed
Absolutely.
around
Yeah.
it.
And yeah, for sure. I do so much work with my clients around um, codependent thinking and money because we can
Mm,
get into codependent relationships with money. We get into emotional
right.
outsourcing with it, where we make it mean something about our worth, safety, and belonging.
Mm,
Which, like, to be real, the more money you have, the safer you are.
yeah.
Like, duh. But it's not on that level, right? It's like on this energetic level where it's like,
Mhm.
oof, I don't feel safe to spend money, invest in myself, not, there's all sorts of
Yeah.
unsafety that comes to the fore. I love doing that work.
Yeah. I'm actually uploading my book today that's
Oh my
on
gosh,
money and how I discovered all of this work through healing my relationship with money.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Bye.
I just wrote a book too. It gets released in October of 2025. It's such a
Oh.
long process.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe I can come back and talk about the book in the spring. That'd be
Please.
fun.
I would love
Yeah, I'd
that.
love
And
it.
I'm putting together a resources page to go with the book. So I'm definitely going to put you on there and I'm going to put this
Thank
podcast
you.
episode on there. No, this has been
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're a wealth of knowledge and I could continue talking to you for 10 months, but we have to wrap it up. So, can you tell everybody like what have you got going on? How do you support clients? Where can people find you?
Yeah. My program is called Anchored. It's a 6-month program where we dive into somatic experiencing, the nervous system, obviously emotional outsourcing, and we dive deep in an interdependent community because all of this started in relationship. We need to heal it in relationship, right? You can learn more at victoriaalbina.com/anchored. My podcast is called Feminist Wellness. You can find it in all of the places. I give good gram at Victoria Albina Wellness on the Instagram, and I made your listeners a special treat.
Oh,
isn't that so fun? So if you go to victoriaalbina.com/creative magic club, little on the nose with that one. You can download a set of nervous system regulating exercises, inner child exercises, meditations, all sorts of treats. They're yours. They're free to download, just to say thanks for listening to this podcast.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure. Such a pleasure.
Thank you for sharing your wealth of wisdom. Definitely everyone go and check her out. Go and get those treats. Do some somatic work. Do it. It will change your life forever and ever. And please come back when you are ready with your book. We would love to hear about that.
Thank you. I'd be thrilled to.
Great. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Please share this episode with anyone who you know would love it and benefit from it. And we will see you next week. Bye. For more inspirational content, head over to my website withsarahmac.com and please support the show by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Are you a healer, witch, creative, or magical entrepreneur who's ready to fill your high-ticket one-on-one or group coaching program, and you want a sales page that will do the selling for you? Maybe you're tired of having a calendar full of sales calls, and you want a sales page that can clearly articulate your offer and guide interested clients to feel ready to buy without needing to talk to you first. Maybe you already have a sales page and people are clicking on it but not reaching out, and you want to feel clear on what to say and what not to say to turn interested people into actual buyers. Having sales pages for my offers has led to filling a high-ticket group coaching program with 10 clients at $1,000 each while traveling on vacation for 2 weeks and launching using repurposed content. Having 5-figure months from sales into my $5,000 evergreen mastermind with no live launching beyond daily social media content. Signing clients into my $17,000 private mentorship program with no sales calls. When you book my Cosmic Sales Intensive, you'll walk away with a full, clear, compelling sales page for your high-ticket offer that will attract ready-to-buy clients and that you can continue to make sales with for years to come. Clients who have been through this offer have created a sales page that went on to sell out a high-ticket relationship coaching mastermind, had 20 applications within 48 hours of publishing, sold several $15,000 private mentorship packages, and even had a 6-figure launch with the sales page and content strategy we created within just a few weeks. Stop losing people with fluffy language that sounds the same as so many others in your industry, and clearly articulate why your work is worth $5,000 to $10,000 plus, even when you sell things like astrology, human design, breathwork, mindset coaching, or energy work. Book your Cosmic Sales Intensive now at withsarahmac.com or via the link in my description.